Okay, I think I'm broadcasting. I am. Hey guys, it's Meggo here. My webcam is on point and super zoomed in and pixelated, but that's okay. And you're kind of crooked, sorry. Today I thought I would do something new. I haven't made a video in months. Go me. But well, if I can find it, recently I was at my college bookstore. It's a text from my mom. And yeah, I was at my college bookstore and I graduate college in like a week. And I was feeling very nostalgic and very sad. And I was like, I'm just going to go to the bookstore, waste some time, look around. And also, I don't know if this broadcast is even working. My college internet is the worst. Like, it sucks so bad. So I hope this is working. And probably no one's watching, so it's okay. Anyway, I was super sad. And I was looking at the shelves in the bookstore. And, like, out from behind, like, 10 books, I saw this book. And this book is my favorite book as a kid, and I haven't read it in forever. It's called From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler, and it's by E.L. Konigsberg, two-time Newbery Medal winner. And it's just such a great book, and it has inspired me ever since I was a little kid to love museums. And since I'm an art history major and could possibly work in a museum, I was like, okay, I need this book in my life right now because I don't actually own a copy and it's my favorite book. So, and I haven't read it since I was like 12. So I thought I would read to you like the first chapter of this book because I think that would be fun. And I love audiobooks. This is not an Audible thing. Also, I hope this is not breaking any like copyright rules or anything. Anyway, she's just a wonderful author, and this book is just so wonderful. And I just thought, since I'm feeling so nostalgic and like sad, that I would read a kid's book out loud to myself. And if you are just omniscient visitor, then yeah. So far there are 0 viewers, so feeling pretty good about this. Feeling pretty confident. All right. The Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler by the beautiful and wonderful E.L. Konigsberg. So a picture. That's Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler writing a letter. To my lawyer, Saxonburg. I can't say I enjoyed your last visit. It was obvious that you had too much on your mind to pay any attention to what I was trying to say. Perhaps if you had some interest in this world besides law, taxes, and your grandchildren, you could almost be a fascinating person. Almost. The last visit was the worst bore. I won't risk another dull visit for a while, so I'm having Sheldon, my chauffeur. That's an awesome name. I'm Sheldon. I'm a chauffeur. Sheldon, my chauffeur, deliver this account to your home. I've written it to explain certain changes I want made in my last will and testament. You'll understand those changes, and a lot of other things, much better after reading it. I'm sending you a carbon copy. I'll keep the original in my files. I don't come in until much later, but never mind. You'll find enough to interest you until I do. You never knew that I could write this well, did you? Of course, you don't actually know yet, but you soon will. I spent a lot of time on this file. I listened, I investigated, and I fitted the pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle. It leaves no doubts. Well, Saxonburg, read and discover. Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. So far, so good. It's hooking you in. You don't know what the file's about. but she has a carbon copy of it. I feel like I'm shouting. I'm sorry if this is really loud. There we go. Okay. Chapter 1. Claudia knew that she could never pull off an old-fashioned kind of running away. That is, running away in the heat of anger with a knapsack on her back. She didn't like discomfort. Even picnics were untidy and inconvenient. All those insects and the sun melting the icing on the cupcakes. Therefore, she decided that her leaving home would not just be running from somewhere, but would be running to somewhere. To a large place, a comfortable place, an indoor place, and preferably a beautiful place. And that's why she decided upon the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. She planned very carefully. She saved her allowance and she chose her companion. She chose Jamie, the second youngest of her 3 younger brothers. He could be counted on to be quiet, and now and then he was good for a laugh. Besides, he was rich. Unlike most boys his age, he had never even begun collecting baseball cards. He saved almost every penny he got. But Claudia wanted to tell Jamie that she had decided upon him. And she waited to tell him. She couldn't count on him to be quiet for that long. And she calculated needing that long to save her weekly allowances. It seemed senseless to run away without money, and the suburbs had taught her that everything costs. She had she had to cough. No. She had to save enough for train fare and a few expenses before she could tell Jamie or make final plans. In the meantime, she almost forgot why she was running away, but not entirely. Claudia knew that it had to do with injustice. She was the oldest child and the only girl and was subject to a lot of injustice. Perhaps it was because she had to both empty the dishwasher and set the table on the same night while her brothers got out of everything. And perhaps there was a reason more clear to me than to Claudia. A reason that had to do with the sameness of each and every week. She was bored with simply being straight A's Claudia Kincaid. She was tired of arguing about whose turn it was to choose the Sunday night 7:30 television show, of injustice, and of the monotony of the fact that her allowance was so small that it took her more than 3 weeks of skipping hot fudge sundaes to save enough for train fare was another example of injustice. Since you always drive to the city, Saxonburg, you probably don't know the cost of train fare. I'll tell you. Full fare one way costs $1.60. Wow, this book is old. Claudia and Jamie could travel for half of that since she was 1 month under 12 and Jamie was well under 12, being only 9. Since she intended to return home after everyone had learned a lesson in Claudia appreciation, she had to save money for her return trip too, which was like a full fare one way. Claudia knew that hundreds of people who lived in her town worked in the offices in New York City and could afford to pay full fare both ways every day, like her father. After all, Greenwich was considered an actual suburb of New York, a commuting suburb. Even though Claudia knew that New York City was not far away, certainly not enough to go considering the size and number of injustices done to her, she knew that it was a good place to get lost. Her mother's Mahjong Club ladies called it the city. Most of them never ventured there. It was exhausting and it made them nervous. When she was in the 4th grade, her class had gone on a trip to visit historical places in Manhattan. Jonathan Richter's mother hadn't let him go for fear he'd get separated from the group in all of the jostling that goes on in New York. Mrs. Richter, who was something of a character, had said that she was certain he would come home lost, and she considered the air very bad for him to breathe. Claudia loved the city because it was elegant. It was important and busy, the best place in the world to hide. She studied maps and the tour guidebook of the American Automobile Association and reviewed every field trip her class had ever taken. She made a specialized geography course for herself There were even some pamphlets about the museum around the house, which she quietly researched. Claudia also decided that she must get accustomed to giving up things. Learning to do without hot fudge sundaes was good practice for her. She made do with the good humor bars her mother always kept in the freezer. Normally, Claudia's hot fudge expenses were 40 cents per week. Before her decision to run away, deciding what to do with the 10 cents left over from her allowance had been the biggest adventure she'd had each week. Sometimes she didn't even have 10 cents, for she lost a nickel every time she broke one of the household rules, like forgetting to make her bed in the morning. She was certain that her allowance was the smallest in her class, and most of the other sixth graders never lost part of their pay since they had full-time maids to do the chores instead of a cleaning lady only twice a week. Once after she had started saving, the drugstore had a special. Hot fudge, 27 cents, the sign in the window said. She bought one. It would postpone her running away only 27 cents worth. Besides, once she made up her mind to go, she enjoyed the planning almost as much as she enjoyed spending money. Planning long and well was one of her special talents. Jamie, the chosen brother, didn't even care for hot fudge sundaes, although he could have bought one at least every other week. A year and a half before, Jamie had made a big purchase. He had spent his birthday money and part of his Christmas money on a transistor radio, made in Japan, purchased from Woolworths. Occasionally he bought a battery for it. They would probably need the radio. That made another good reason for choosing Jamie. On Saturdays, Claudia emptied the wastebaskets, a task she despised. There were so many of them. Everyone in her family had his own bedroom and wastebasket except her mother and father, who shared. Almost every Saturday, Steve emptied his pencil sharpener into his. She knew he made his basket messy on purpose. One Saturday, as she was carrying the basket from her parents' room, she jiggled it a little bit so that she could see the contents shift and not spill out as she walked. Their basket was always so full since there were two of them using it. It's hard to read audiobooks. Your voice gets really tired. Anyway, I think page 9 is a good place to stop as she's jiggling the wastebasket. Anyway, I just wanted to share about, I love this book, and I think it's good to read kids' books every now and then, because it's just good to feed the child inside of you. Yeah. All right, well, I'm about to go cough profusely because you just shouldn't read that much in a row. I don't get how John Green talks for forever and reads from his own book and doesn't have this reaction happen where feels like your throat is on fire and you're drowning in saliva, all that good stuff. Yep, okay, I hope everything is good with you guys. You guys, whoever you are, who's made it this far. I'm going to Europe in less than 20 days. So you'll probably see me there. All right, bye.